the end of the day, we are all Gambians. What is good for all. And equally, what is not good for all. And that we shall either succeed and be secure in dignity together or fail in the same pattern. For these reasons, we need to always find common ground in our diversity as Gambians and ensure peaceful coexistence. Since it is only through peace and respect for each other that development can be planned and executed for the well-being of all Gambians. Meanwhile, I wish you all a very successful first National Party Congress and encourage you to take advantage of the kindness of the people of the West Coast region and the great city of Brikama. With God's divine guidance, we shall conduct ourselves in the most civil manner reminiscent of us CA. And eventually select Gambians both locally and in the diaspora who are capable, willing, and committed to work as a team to complete the journey to national leadership and development. May God, in His limitless mercy, bless CA. May God, in His unboundful mercy, bless the Gambia. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dominic Mendy, the interim chairman team. Now on the itinerary, we have the activity report presentation that will be done. Understand? Pada tempoh di kemudian sifatkan nya berjalan bersama moni foto fana binamo mandila memba janda legi ñu jël temps ñuy def moni o ko xamne mo ñu wara ñew kaddu yi aju ci activité report maanaam yokkute ak ndoxalin li ñu am ci biir Citizen Alliance activité report. Let me have the presenter for the activity report, please. Monsieur le Président, waktu mana, menodai mana nanti mereka saja yang membayo, ketemu dengan Jody, kalau conference our Jody ko chairman Mr. Dominic Mendy. Chairman is coming to do the deliberation again. Thank you.
Once again, good morning. Salam alaikum. Ngali nimbara. Bide ali njela lefo. Bare ngamera ali nyanta mo kilin dara na jela bi. Bara nala sontam ba jela lefo. Pa malam barenta pula ko ba jela fa. Ha. Now, you know, when you have a new party, the party evolves. Like I said, the idea of the party was initiated by Dr. Ismail Aziz. And he brought a few of us together, young and old. I think I'm the youngest of all the people in our party. And you know, I did something yesterday because normally I will not dye my hair, you know. I would have been looking like Nelson Mandela when he was about to die, you know. And my grandchild, you know, told me, "Mom, you know, before you knew that, and she brought a noodle brush. So that's why I'm looking like a boy today. You know? And imagine I am the oldest. I'm the youngest. If I'm the youngest, then we must be a set of very old people. Is that not true? Actually, it's the reverse. I am the oldest, and the next oldest, I am almost 10 years older than him. You know? And our party is made up of people, you know, from God knows where to around 35, 36, 40. So imagine that amount of energy. It's important energy. Now, establishing a new party is not easy because a party does not revolve around one person. Party o mo kini doron buka party ron. Ni amoy ideas ro Ismail Sise ideas ro. Awon idea na de ani mo Jamal Diamu ro ni idea ko no isontama. So iko ha the party ni establish a party ni establish. But a party mung afan su molet. Kato party ko mo ka bulo so nyame ngai fungo soto ai singol soto party fanan ka kana nya. Ni lafta party ni etam. For a party organized ko mo. Ai fungo soto ai kundios. Ai bulo soto ma ko la. Ai singol soto menu ba ma ko la ai lo. So ni amo ni wala ni committee ni alon ko fe mo fe wulta don. Wala ka wili ya doko fenke nyobulu ya distribute nyoma andum doko nyeke patila kamena ila kamena le hospital. So wala ka party ni structure. So first year akakei ya kolembali because water coming panel and water election of Pakeno and this year ala na ke in corona na mol barade mol me man campbell no kuri structure so organized juna so na all structures me alon ko wale launching in organized to menu botako working group steering committee nyata demanding fanan fenkenyol nata youth wing nata wale everything organized for be election soto na baraka bobbi ninga election soto ko nga national organizing committee set up one national organizing committee wale be ni other sub committee be established wale be ni party role and ni national organizing committee amake ko mol me alo ko be tara kombato baba ko no be bola representation of the bula blalme dol kombe bola diaspora babu anu ite do la jande bare yalo sani communication is very simple ni be meeting ala ni la ta hamin na ni meeting on be men contact mol be jegan and be la moy kan kontrol ke la moy kan nya mente minu be de banta la banko so that ni committee wala be mo do ko be la na patini organize ye Dr. Ismail Sise Magoy as the flag bearer, ye campaign on launch. Then at the end of the elections, I declare as the President of the Republic of the Ghana. So, in organizing National Executive Committee, for ye accountable. And accountable to Babu Kamato Mwande, ni yalo ni moye to ko di doku rama bile nin karo faga foye koye account pour ay ko do men bile la foye akama ya nyama le ban fo na fa ko de le ban fo na ban ko de ni atara manta ma nyama fana amake ko na manta nyama do ye ko do ni signal hade wonde asike no ko business le manta so ngaji de muna na business manta nyata men kala all ke so that next year or Karnala, business area makane. So very important diga wale interim structures, working group and steering committee la reporto pour ñing santambila kaita ni mollako ñi next year ni national executive committee be men appoint wala fana bina ye report nga nyoma very good so mbe fana read la in English because for newspaper le assemble Bandala Mole Lamara, because it will assess Laole Nyama as a party. And we are CA, we are a party of difference. And we are going to do things differently and above all. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, CA was registered and launched on the 28th November 2019, and today it is officially 1 year. This might be the best approach to celebrating the birthday of this growing political party, for which its activity report has been prepared to highlight the party's activities over the past year. Since it is the first year, most of the time and efforts were directed at establishing permanent structures and creating visibility nationwide and in the diaspora, especially explaining the new political message of national development and sustained security. So the first activity is the launching of the party. The party was launched on the 29th of November 2020 at the Penchami Hall, Paradise Hotel. It was very well attended, with the hall full to capacity and overflowing into the outside, and the attendants exercised significant patience and waited out for the whole ceremony to come to an end. That shows how captivating our launch was. The attendance was also very diverse in ethnicity, in religion, in gender, and in all the dimensions that define our community, the Gambia, which is the main basis of the structure of this party. The structure of this party is based on diversity. The youths outnumbered all attendants, signaling the mission of CA to the platform by which youths must express themselves and create the country that they desire and dream of. So the launch of the party set the stage for the party's political explosion and structural reinforcement to recruit and cater to the political aspirations of all development-oriented Gambians in country and abroad. And this party is growing membership in leaps and bounds. Thanks be to God. Number two, utilization of pre-registration structures as platforms for creating and establishing permanent structures. I just said that this is our first year. So in the year, we could have had a Congress and could have established a national and elected National Executive Committee. But again, there were many issues that did not make that easy for us, one of which was COVID. And therefore, all we could have done is what we have done now. When government has endorsed that even though COVID is still around and we must continue to be careful, we could operate in the country in business as usual to the extent that we protect ourselves. The stage having been set by the launching of the party, the need was felt for intensifying recruitment, creating a critical mass of membership, and undertaking a congress, which is what is happening today, just exactly 1 year after the party's registration. Meanwhile, whilst all of this was taking place, there was need to maintain and utilize the pre-registration structures of the working group. And the working group functioned as the CA's parliament, because it was the clearinghouse for whatever CA decided. The steering committee, which is the operational clearinghouse of the party, headed and ably convened by the diaspora committee president, Ali Jan, also functioned side by side with the working group. These two structures actually ran CA for the greater part of 2019-2020. The diaspora committee, which externally coordinates all outreach, fundraising, and other issues of the parties beyond the shores of the Gambia, is one of three structures by which, until today, this party has been called. So that what I want you to understand is the working group meets, but it also links the diasporas through the virtual platform. And so real time, whilst meetings are being held here, they are also being listened to and participated in by people from all corners of the world. And so what the current in the communication infrastructure has enabled CA to do was to make the operation platform of CA so small that CA could convene a meeting and meet with all its members across the globe. Part of our job today, upon the creation of this critical mass of membership, is to, for the first time, elect a national executive committee, which will take over the mantle of running this party and establishing necessary substructures to ensure effectiveness and efficiency. So as from today, when we would have elected our national executive committee, the working groups and the steering committee would necessarily stand dissolved. And the new National Executive Committee will take over the mantle of leadership and create, as it evolves, the necessary substructures that will lead CA into the elections. Number three, the post-launching additional structures. As the party's outreach across the country took momentum and the membership grew tremendously, it became necessary for other structures to be created. And once again, the person who was at the head of the outreach campaign, taking our messages right into the most remote corners of this country, was our erudite flag bearer and new party leader, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. These two structures are both, so now, eventually after the launching, the youth wing and the regional wings were created. These two structures are both youth-based and emerged to be platforms and instruments of successful recruitment, fundraising, and socio-political education for members of our party. The youth wing, which is structured in accordance with the structural requirements of our party constitution, already has a nominated National Executive Committee, which shall be confirmed in elections immediately after this Congress. So that the youth wing is benchmarking the overall national executive in terms of structure. And this is very good for party structural evolution and transition. It means our young people on their own and managing themselves, structured as we are required to be structured by our constitution, will also function that way. So that when they move into the National Executive Committee, they will not need to be schooled or to be oriented. They would have had at least sufficient orientation to run this party effectively. The youth wing undertook so many training programs and conducted debates on many issues relevant to the development of our dear country, and ensured appreciable overall understanding of the political promise of our party. In fact, one might say that our party is blessed by a youth wing, which has become the forerunner in ideas and creativity. And this youth wing shall be an instrument of innovation as the party continues to grow. Thank you very much, youth wing. I want to speak specifically to item number 4, which is outreach and recruitment. There were several other committees, such as the Outreach and Media Committee. The Outreach Committee was headed by our erudite party creator, Dr. Ismaila Sise, and supported by young and committed personnel, such as Mr. Rafi Diab, who is everything anyone can be in this party. And I might say, somebody who I have given a new name, Abdurrahman Jallo, but I call him Jallo Brikama. You know, a name he earned by his commitment to making sure that people of the West Coast region, and that is Brikama, know and feel this party to hail from or belong to them. This group, this outreach group, was supported by regional chairmen in each region, and within this year was able to establish regional executives and youth structures across the country, the whole country. I want to thank all of these people and pray and hope that they may be blessed. These people must recognize that they are the bedrock of our party, and that if what is happening today is deemed success, we owe it to them, and the real work has just begun. Fundraising. Number 5. Political party fundraising is a Herculean task. It is a tough task, especially when the party is in the opposition. Most people would rather not relate openly with the party, even where they agree with its political message, and would prefer to be sealed and tacit in their support. A sad situation. Is it not sad? I hope a day will come when it will be safe and free for one to live out his political beliefs, even when they are not the same with the ruling government. However, this is our current political landscape, and we have to navigate it. In this landscape, with the leadership of Rafi Diab in fundraising, this party raised $1 million to register the party, and more money to undertake outreach, COVID-19 intervention, and social livelihood support at the grassroots across the country. Thanks to all of our sponsors, we are grateful. We are indeed most grateful, and may God bless them. Among these sponsors are the members of CA themselves. Each time funds are needed, a hat is passed round, and party members in their various abilities were very forthcoming. The diaspora wing has been a strong pillar of financial support to the party. Fundraising is one area with people who believe in our message and trust our offer of development solutions are requested to help sustain this party. Every political structure needs funding. The annual financial reports of the party as required by the IEC shall be issued soon for presentation to the National Executive Committee and the party membership in due time, as the first year of our operations has just come to an end. The first year of our operation ends today, so the financial books should be closed today, and the reports should be able to come out in about 3 months. That is when we compile all the reports and subject it to an audit and file them with the IEC. So we are not going to present a financial report today because we just cannot technically do it. Number 6, social and economic interventions. CA is a young party and is still on the road to financial stability. And that's a very important caveat. However, CA recognizes that the country which they want to transform into a modern developed nation is poor, and that most of its people suffer from hunger and deprivation. For this reason, our outreach included identifying where this was rich or most needed, and in our own little way and humble manner, provide the necessary support. We also undertook many press conferences, radio and television interviews and shows, social media engagements, all aimed at objectively critiquing government policy and providing alternative solutions of national governance in the form of advice. So we are not just an opposition that decries everything that government does. We endorse any good work done by government. We critique and provide alternative solutions to solutions offered by government which we feel are not optimal or are suboptimal. And that is what an effective opposition should be, because an opposition party such as CA is not just an opposition, it's a government in waiting. When COVID was declared as a pandemic, CA undertook a press conference on the subject and was one of the first parties to contribute buckets and detergents in the West Coast region as our first contribution to the prevention efforts of the pandemic. Our activities in this direction include contribution to national policy debate and offer alternative solutions on managing the pandemic, and also undertaking livelihood support related to the impact that would have been caused by COVID. I therefore want to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, that beyond as it is, unstable as it is financially, CA has in the past 1 year conducted itself and undertaking activities reminiscent of very mature and financially stable political parties. Thanks be to all of you and thanks be to God. I thank you for your attention. This was our report, and at some point I think we will have question and answer session, and we will be more than happy to provide clarifications on issues that you may want clarifications on. But I also want you to take note that whilst we have the right to and might have ask questions and make comments, this will be controlled, because later on in the evening we have to have a rally. And also today is Friday, and by 2 o'clock, Saturday rather, yeah, today is Saturday, I thought it was, yeah, Saturday, I'm sorry. So that's the situation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the activity speech, the activity involved. That will be there. Now on the itinerary, we have the time for questions and answers and delegates. Mbokk yi léegi fi mu toll mooy laajte nag delegates yi mooy ñoo xam ne ñoo fi ñëw teewal seen conséquences yi ñu tànn ñoo koy seet ak suñu chairman. Kadingolo kami potong bolehmu sai ngatu sita guru ini kamu ni jabirun ini kasulu ni jabirun kono follow nimbe kera na chairman ni delegation tema au denga ko moli jana ni mabeta na fundor toya sai na dogo wato delegates and the chairman time for the questions and answers. Momo la family karkela delegation ko isi duro bulindi no kila chairman de takuno ale jabiro kela manam delegate ko xamne rek yaangi buga lajje ba am na lajje munga ekati sallahu ni jogna mi ko fum mala chairman mo dina la tontu ci tabu. Thank you very much. Allah baraka ili def ko ta. Boleh nuansa yang belum kami bawa Momo meaning ka also disciple will be ngami pro na ye chairman meaning ka I jadu tila. Here I have my brother right.
That one.
So
hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, delegates. I just want to ask very, very important questions. And I believe the chairman will be in position to answer that question. My question is, as the youths have hope in citizen parliament, we are waiting 2021 for December, on the 5th December. They will take Dr. Ismail Sise to the State House by the grace of God. But I would like to know across the country, especially in the urban areas, I would like to know what are your plans for each of these regions as far as youths are concerned. When the citizen comes into the power in 2021, I would like you to hint us what are the plans for the youth. Because the reason of asking this question, we have seen so many government parts, they didn't do anything or they didn't have any plans for the youth. So therefore, before we go further, we will have hope on citizen alliance that 2021 they will take this country as a government. So what do you have for the youth of this country? Who are the grain, who are the fertilizer, who are everything? Because in a minute, if they want to take the government they can. We can see the example of past election taking place. So therefore, Mr. Chairman, that's my question. Thank you very much for allowing me to answer.
thank you Abarga Badu I chairman ni Gambia na abo inshallah sanala 2021 mbele kabla nyawambe Ismaila Sambala State House. Akobale aini ngao mensolo chairman ni wona mon fere le benandire fondi kene atum ajele ko sakunda mele tamita ni man nasi imanna plan jamal soto santa ak jéego yoo xam ne loolu lañ teral biir Citizen Alliance pour ndaw ñi ndax ndaw yi tey ñooy mag yi thank you. Another question, more for the beginning after getting Garo Gela, Nabe Kunso Yola Chairman Si Abeja. Often the young outlet, the number getting solo working in the microphone, Nala Chairman in another control, Tola there. Okay, finding one again. Okay, oh, lady, thank you. Yeah.
Everyone, my name is Maria Menes. The question that I am to ask the chairman is that there is many corruption nowadays in our country, every department, in every section in our country. Is that if Dr. Ismail Assis can won this presidency, it is that he will eradicate corruption now. And if there is any department or apartment doing corruption in our country, what will be the rule or what will be the law implement? I need an answer that will please me, please, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Kokutam mune lumen latte chairman modine. Ya mune kachile umin latte. Citizen Alliance alen ko fambe abo bitungo kapaliani maraliani ne kampoka o modbe sugiri neka. Then Citizen Alliance nata abo ala chairman ya kono diade famba. Jabi diala membe adisolala. Na fanan ni mara kiri thank you America. you can go ahead.
Yeah. So Haralma talk to Nyari like ini jota like nga ini kan role men follow kita nyol yabi. Now, I don't want to put our flag bearer and party leader on the spot.
Chairman ko among pare science ka na party nyato ko anina bandero ka pare men makate uli na nyato
Because today we are after this we are going into an electoral process.
Nena lulu ko wala ikanam tuti dinañ duga ci walu sani kat.
And constitutionally he is one of the candidates that we are considering for a position.
Niadi be na sapo be maralo ke kana maralo ko adere na president.
So as a result, really it will not be proper for me to require him to help me respond to some of your questions.
Nena chiko lo rek mo tamba da fay jël fit mo dugg ci kanam ndax su woowee Ismaila rek mu ngi mel ni ba nga xaw a daw liggéeyam.
Because that would just not be proper.
Waaye loolu am te ñii ñaar.
But I know there are other top members of the party who are not contesting elections.
Ako kaya ñi kala mo dai ni no fanan ko kuno kuma do de parti o kono ni yalon ko wol ni da ko ñoo si ya ko kate fayo.
And it's only those top members of the party who are not contesting elections that can help me answer some of the questions.
Ako bi man sa na ko fanan ni bino ni na batala la ni ko ñaato ka kuma de tema mi ben na parti o kono ni yalon fanan ni da la ni ñoo sa ba kate fayo.
Because even if they speak now, that will not give them advantage in the election.
Nena su emo sax ni ñew jël microphone yu wax léegi loolu do leen jox benn yokkute ci kanam ndax si sax tey.
CA is just trying to lead our talk because we want to make sure that the election field becomes
Ako harisandro CA de ñi tandiro to kaita ko e kato mi ko am fayda brikama asike ñon tanto.
So now I will invite members of the executive, the transition executive, to please come forward after I have answered and I think that they have additional explanations to give.
Ako harisa fanabe kumandiro kela maral mol mi yalo ko wonde be mi de masina ninga kato fayti wonde ko la place do wosina de kafuama ni na fata be ni karo do mole be ni ra harisa go si mo sene de na fata be.
Because that is why smile alone.
Para modine CA amul kenn na nit ko xamne mom la ñuy set soxla CA boole ku ci nekkale te nga am na doxal place bi ñun ñepp ay ngolo yi yóbbu wale li wara def muy am anam yu defé.
Very good. Let me answer question number 1. Now, the question number 1 is, when we elect Ismaila President of the Republic of the Gambia, and we form a government, what are the plans that we, as a party, CA, and at that time, as a government, what plans do we have for the youth in all the regions of the country and especially the government? Am I right?
Yeah. Chairman Paru in Carfolo in Jabila in Carla in Carlo Capoto, a very man of the Landry who for the Kyori. Then I gave you a question to me, Nakamba, Bankumoy, who like the one and Yal Mandaka, Yal Jacob who let the use of the government.
Those questions are the reason why CA was formed. Because CA was formed because this country, either deliberately or inadvertently, did not understand its predicament. At least what we see in the governments that have come and gone and be in government now. We understand that the youth constitute the great majority of this country, over 60% of the population. And you know what a youth is? By the definition of the National Youth Policy, they are people who range from age 14 to age 35. And in fact, in certain circumstances, they increase the age to age 40. So if you increase it to 40, you are talking about almost 70% of the population. But you know, what really are youth? You know, when I delivered I said the youth are the energy of this country. What does that mean? Energy is power. It is because of energy, that's why we have lights. That's why the fans are working. That's why I can speak and the words will be amplified and you hear me. So energy is what makes everything move. So if you want a nation to move, you have to create your youth in such a manner that they will have the ability to optimally contribute to the development of this country. And that is what is constituted in the CA manifesto, which I hasten to say that in a week's time will be launched. And we will have the opportunity of seeing the detailed policies of CA in terms of not how to create and nurture the youth and give them the required knowledge, skill, and social comportment to build capacity in themselves to be independent and successful in every venture, but to make them with all that knowledge and wisdom to be responsible and committed members of their society. And that is what the CA will do. And that is adequately manifested in our manifesto, and that will be launched in a week or two's time, and our manifesto will be out in the streets, on the airwaves, and everywhere, and eventually it will be translated into various languages verbally, so that people who cannot read will listen to it, and will be able to critique it as well, will be able to learn from it, and will be able to rally around it in order to create that country that will provide for the youth that we are talking about, that will create energy. It says that we have to harness the youth dividend. What is a dividend? You cannot harness a dividend. You know, in business, I'm a businessman, I'm an economist. A dividend is when you make profit, isn't it? So you share the profits, and that is what you call a dividend. So if the youths are the national profit, then you have to make profit first and foremost. But if you do not give youths enough education, you do not give them enough confidence and capacity to be useful to themselves first and to society, then do you really have profits to harness? You really don't. So that is exactly what CA is all about. If we want to tell you the nitty-gritties and the details of how this will be executed, we can spend the whole day here. But I promise you, the manifesto is ready. It will be launched in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and you should know that this is their party. But I'm not telling you this. The manifesto is not the creation of Dr. Ismail Sise or Dominic Mendy. The manifesto is the creation of the Gambian people, especially the youth, because it is a manifesto that is relatively and very well consulted, so that when it comes out, it becomes the manifesto of the people. So that's my answer to question number one, if that satisfies you. Now, question number two is a very passionate question from a young lady who, when she was asking the question, she almost wept. Did you hear her voice? She almost cried. This lady is lamenting corruption. What is corruption? You know, corruption is so sophisticated that even when it is happening, at times we inadvertently support it, thinking that it's something good. But you know, in my own simple language, corruption really is deliberately coveting what belongs to everybody, to yourself alone. Am I understood? And that is not right. And that can be done in various ways. And it has become so serious in our public structures that you wonder whether, as a nation, we will soon not break news. And you know, attraction of significant domestic and international investment that will create economic momentum and create employment and create livelihoods and welfare. So corruption needs to be stamped out, Madam. I agree with that. I agree with that. And the structures that CA will come up with, as defined in our manifesto, are to make sure that we create, because corruption cannot be eliminated by identifying 1, 2, 3 people and breaking their heads and hoping that that will take away corruption. No. Corruption has to be fought systemically. All the structures that you have, all the ministries that you have, all the departments that we have to reassess all of these in terms of their suitability for purpose. And we have to reassemble all of this, rearrange all of this, and redefine the operational modalities, the endorsement mechanism, and the sanction regime for corruption. And not only do we define this, but we have to selflessly and fearlessly implement it. And these are detailed in the manifesto. So what a CA government will do, my sister or my daughter, is that it will create, as a system of governance, a structure that will ensure that the optimal utilization of national resources in the interest of every and everybody, and ensure that corruption is eliminated or at worst reduced to the barest minimum. I do hope that we will succeed. We ask for God's divine guidance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ki leeral noonu ci ñaari laajte bi nga laaj ne aduna ci ndaw mi. I hope those answers are very clear. Now on the itinerary, we still have adoption of report by the delegates. Whoever wants to adopt
this Congress provided you with only one report, that is the activity report. The financial report is not ready because today is the day that we would have closed our books. And so our financial year yesterday. So the financial report can only be prepared a few weeks or months after today. And that will be presented either by some means, or it will be presented at the next Congress. We will work with the IEC, we will seek their advice in terms of how that can be done. So the report that we have given you is one of two reports we should have, and that is the activity report. Again, after that activity report, we have asked if people have comments and questions. And we have just come from answering some of those questions. So we need to adapt the report. The report comes from the interim structures. You see the steering committee and the working group. But now the report has been presented. It is no more the property of the structures. It is no more the property of the the steering committee, and the working group. It is now the property of the delegates.
So you have listened to the reports, you have asked questions. It is a requirement now that you either say yes, you support that we adopt the report, or you say no, you do not support that we adopt the report. You go and
Revise the report and present it again at another time.
this is your show. So I think one way
Of doing that,
is those of us who are delegates in the hall know themselves.
so we might want to use the National Assembly formula.
You know the National Assembly, when the speaker puts a question before the assembly, she says, those for,
And they say, and then they say, those against, they say, or they say, you know what I mean? And so the speaker listens to the loudest and then passes judgment, whether in fact the yes were louder than the no's or the no's were louder than the yes. And the speaker would say the no's have it or the yes have it. So I want, with your permission, to adapt that. I see, am I in order? Thank you. So now, the report, I'm going to stand now. I'm going to order. So report on me, report on me. Wokoma, Kola, and Moni, and Yikaro, and when Yikaro can make a body call around the report. Some report a working group report again or steering the report. I like report on the delegation. And the moment that the delegation is the By the time Nico Momo and Diamo report on Yinka, Momo for the but the National Assembly ni laptop board kela speaker kampale ko ha sa board ni nyata kala sa bagal de menu sorka isa ko ha menu manso isa ko ha so ni uro prata ka kela mala apo ka ngamira menu sorka la wala siya menu manso ni woro menu sorka la wala so beo process sa so kalau pahani man suruh apa pahani man jual apa apa jaga wala pulang kamu ini rumahnya so saya tak tahu ni kalau mereka saya ngari porno ni ruile ngadi le aliye lamana aliye porno ni faham le saya ni porno batala ko na CA report le for 2020 la for data so bakal ni kalau niko batala bang Lafta delegator ye globally. Delegator for all the Nimbono rompa ni ka le ko ba ko reporting drop le because reporting ma ke apa ke na dara ku ya dinama many amelo ko nyan dole ka or para be globally. So sa deni ka follow ni ka report ni ngamendi Batala nama lepas delegator lalu belum delegator le belum delegator nama aku belum bersatu orang alika nak belum jadi poni pale boleh ni ala belum jadi satu kali lagi ni Alam ini nabe wala si jambi Okay, thank you. I think I have 44. Okay, then we can project quality report on Nyanda Abunudila working group and steering committee because report on Mantakuan
Nani amela ko ripoto man ta ku nyanta bo dela ibro lewu. Acha ko me no ibro lewu ibro. Ni amela ko amanta ku nyanta abur dela ya dela aku ibro lewu. What? So that more hansawani ana tamnani ni nani wale la bulul iko reporto tata nyamale sa ni reporto ba atokale ITC ega reporto report 2019-2020 para mo kini parango ataman song ni reporto nyanda bulale ya ngara so akabunda ko reporto ni pa atokale report wale kan ala. I'm sorry, Chairman. Delegate Chairman, you are going to ak ñent ñoo wone ne report bi jël nañ ko nangu nañ ko kenn rek moo ci am na kàdda ko waa léegi sadi katara ñent fukk ak ñent ak benn kon mu ngi mel ni report bi dañ koy jël ñu dugal ko ci domaine Citizens Alliance kenn ngeen jëf ala barka al bibar Now on the itinerary we're heading forward is we have the presentation and adoption briefly of the Constitution by the entering chairman and delegates. Baru Abu Kasai, I think lagi jantung bagi jantung, ini seperti kaitan itu mana buku dan stafeta. The Citizen Alliance, Matthew Chairman Wela, Chairman boleh mulai jantung dan delegate. What is to do for Allah delegate take you, Chairman.
Thank you. Allah. Now, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, to register a party, put a party register with the IEC. One of the most critical things is party by a constitution store. Constitution oleh party in the luar. Ane kanyi Congress lengkene. Constitution leda define the wala terbake. Wala nabi IC mol beda. Aman ke ko class karo ne bijane. IC commissioner for election. Menuni commissioner chairman kasi. Ye IC la dokunya kibe. Wale nada ka observation ke ndola kan kibe. Ka manya di le foka ma in accordance with our constitution na register diba. Foka na boy kama di wotama nya be ala mo mantara na constitution. Because I even non na nyadi even non through our constitution. Ninga fenge isa punya ko akare Allah constitution ko te. Adal bagare. So now make the CA divine. Now make the any party divine or constitution. But the party kudo na constitution of the land. What membership sponsor follow. For more alone or nada. For Ismaila na more mentor rolo. Isida. Ye party of board Kenya gide. Ya constitution of the land. What the other government what Congress the kado more members follow. So constitution on our register IC. But a register in Panimo, the constitution not the other AB, and the other not the other CAB. Is a constitution on Bafalina. I don't know so now Ismaila and Dominic Yolo and Mojamal will see the constitution of Malukoti Isa ko pa le constitutional na daw na anisan wado change tale. So kung jamal le constitutional for me aloko imam possible mo sa. Pwede. Andi na niyo abikal. Pare constitutional me aloko ka renta IC. Janda be falin niya tara be falin. Adol farang Allah constitution because what is it? Wala na be procedure ma ko compare constitution ni read la ni para na pa publish tale na website and Facebook page and then ba translate tale farang ni local language sarakulo flow ngin ko la ni no amol so that may distribute minimum tubabu memang tubabu no anu jari no la isala wa ila power so your constitution and you understand so that you understand so that momo aglo media loko aji de nya ka pare o sina ko nya pare bi ponga ni constitution ada because no le ni IC ponga poko ha IC nya la na constitution di atol men aliye be no constitutionally use the book before getting ni atamba afalina koja ni afalina then afalina pao no wo constitutional na fire with the eyes so being a go muna to wale kanyi constitutional adopt debate tije nyo sabatije in the constitution. For now, follow. Then the new national executive committee, I told you what the logo and the constitutional given protect. Not the palette, Gulak and the palette, I highlight whatever. I know, I need Nipatia palette. Oh, Gulak and palette, what for the where someone and Congress, general body. Giving soma na adopt. So ka adopt wala ka some constitutional. Mandi ka kami man sa niya ba? Wala Allah ka na pati ko kanya ko. Ina ba alcohol? Ha? Alga ba ako na boya ba ako? Oh, so that again, because you procedure. So many will be done. The constitution of the delegation of Lanta Molbe, the close to Miniata, Musi Edward, constitutional. So, CA Edward, Allah constitution. The marriage is the constitutional for Jelma Posa, and what about only? Why na atolya dia pa yung kapal. Wo kama lata na something constitutional. So pwede wili na nalita ni mo sota yepto. Hello, aka Gloria wili ko. Pada kamu. Oh. Kaya all men want to malapon ale bulo. Because roka ka. No, constitutional. So sa constitutional na CA 2019 constitution na main register IC. So based on that, so na adopted, stands adopted. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and we thank you all. Right now it's almost 2 o'clock, and we're going to have 10 minutes break. People play and use the restroom and so forth. 10 minutes please. Let's make it feeling once we have a lot of peaceful fight during the day. Ako one sa isa pa na feeling asida the minute tantala na study yung ko news ko minute tan ko no na ko na congress continue. Wow, nyalo kino pa na Even me, I tao di 40 minutes. Di kili na lo takisin na bituti. Kita suwa continue kongrelu. Kili thank you. 10 minutes please. Nothing more.
Yo,